So Nintendo's getting investigated. Ubisoft came out and said,
Oh,
yeah, our last Assassin's Creed game may have flopped, but also, we totally won. And Square Enix is laying off hundreds of people in the West, all
yeah,
within the
good.
last 2 weeks. And I am sitting here thinking, okay, what timeline is this? Because for years, these massive companies have felt completely untouchable. They would make whatever decisions they wanted, we would complain, give feedback, vote with our wallets, and it just didn't really matter. We would point out problems and get told that we were the problem. Gaming
Well, yes, because of all the activists in these companies. And everyone was telling the investors that, yeah, this is what people want. But it's not. And now investors are losing money. And now they're like, yeah, you people all have to go. But that doesn't mean that, BlackRock changes because they won't. Because they want the audience to like this. They want to create the audience that likes that stuff. Because they are in on it. On it. If you know, you know. World Economic Forum. Ooh.
journalists would write these long articles explaining why actually we were in the wrong and didn't understand game development. Studios would then double down on the exact things we hated. But something is different now, and
And
we
then
have
no one
been
would buy
watching
them.
this shift happen over the last year or two, but the past 2 weeks,
Trump.
big things are happening. So let's get into it. Well, it's been 2 months since my last Nintendo check-in, and even though it has been a rocky relationship for me, like the crazy ex-girlfriend I am, I have been keeping up with
Oh,
Nintendo on all of the latest regarding their patent wars. Like I said in previous videos, I kept thinking, there is no way that this can continue to get worse, but then I watched Nintendo get more bullish with their lawsuit
yeah?
and sue over very basic mechanics like throwing and capturing characters, summoning characters, and mounting creatures. But truly, it gets darkest before the dawn because
Of
just
course.
recently we learned that the US Patent Office announced that they are investigating some of Nintendo's patents. That is right. Palworld
Very
now
good.
has the full power of America on its side. In the old days, Nintendo flexes their legal team, their opponent can't afford the fight, and it's game over. The big company wins. Except that is not what happened here. Players have been incredibly vocal. Players bought the competition and loved it. Palworld sold over 25 million copies, and voices on the internet like Legal Mindset have
Oh
been
my god.
reporting and calling out how
25 million times. I think a game costs 30 bucks. That's 60 mil. Yeah. 70 million? Around that? 70 million? Almost? That's a lot of money.
messed up this whole situation is. Some gaming journalists have been wringing their hands about it though. One IP attorney actually said that it is debatable whether giving power to people on the internet who scream loudly is a good thing for the industry. When a company tries to patent basic mechanics that have existed for decades, that is
Yeah.
something that people should be loud about. That is legitimate criticism of patent abuse and what should happen when companies try to weaponize a system to eliminate
Yep.
competition. Players noticed, legal experts noticed, the patent office noticed, and now Nintendo has to actually defend why they should own basic game mechanics. Hint, they shouldn't.
Yeah, it's just like EA owning the how was it called? They had a system for a Lord of the Rings game. I don't even remember. I literally don't remember. Oh my god, I'm so old. I don't remember that game. I even played it a little bit, then I refunded it because the FOV was so horrible that it gave me a migraine.
Didn't stop there. Pocket Pair has doubled down and announced their what? Their version of Animal Crossing with Pal Farm. Hoyoverse has announced
Awesome. Good. I hope they sell another 25 million.
Petite Planet, and I am still mad that I can't seem to get into the coziness beta. Hello? And you guys already know how I feel about Animo, and I'm sure there are dozens of other indie devs who have been sitting
Why does this look so... yeah, whatever. Why? This doesn't even look intriguing. Maybe if I were a child, yeah. Maybe then. But then even the title is boring. The design of this is boring.
On Creature Sims, creature collector ideas, just waiting to see what happens with this lawsuit. Now they're actually going to be able to make their games, because if Nintendo's patents collapse, innovation gets completely unchained, and this becomes a huge win for the rest of the industry. But don't worry,
Yeah.
Nintendo is still getting their lawsuit fixed. They recently won a case against a pirate live streamer who had been rage baiting them for years. And when he was ordered to pay Nintendo over 17 grand, his response was, "You might run a corporation, but I run the streets." Even just on the game development side of things, I saw so many fans express massive disappointment in Pokemon Legends EA. I saw players
Because the game is shit? This game is literal trash. I have not seen anything good about this game. Not once, one single bit. The game looks bad. It's very restrictive as far as I have seen, and it's a regression in gameplay. Complete regression. This is horrible. It's a horrible game.
calling it out for feeling really cheap despite the $70 price tag. With flat graphics, no voice acting, a map
Yes,
so
it's a
small
$10
you can
game.
technically sprint around it in under 7 minutes. The whole game takes
It's a
place in
$10
one
game.
city with some copy-pasted buildings everywhere. Fans who loved Arceus for its sense of exploration and variety were now getting endless tutorials in a repetitive urban setting instead, and somehow a game that brought back Mega Evolution didn't include legendaries that actually have Mega Evolutions. And
Wait. They're
Evolution
adding the
didn't
Mega
include
Evolutions
legendary.
back as a DLC for $40. So to have the full game, you have to pay $90. And the game is not even good. It's still trash. Who could have guessed? Typical Nintendo
That actually have
at this point.
Mega Evolutions. And I won't lie to you, even now, after everything that has happened, it still feels wrong to root against the company that I grew up on, fell in love with, and is what got me into gaming
You aren't really rooting against the company. You're rooting against the people that run the company.
in the first place. But they figured out weaponized nostalgia and just ran with it, forcing
Yeah.
us to use their online services in order to access old titles, paying $60 for Skyward Sword HD, when it was literally the same game from 2011. Not being able
Yeah.
to access any of their music legally on any platform except their own, which I think they just launched like last year. For a long time, me,
Yeah, tech-wise, Nintendo is so far behind. Because they're Japanese. When it comes to everything internet, the Japanese are behind. At least they were until, I don't know, 10 years ago. Their websites literally look like websites from the 90s. Well, at least the last time I have seen anything from there.
I got used to all that control, and that was that. Then Palworld showed up and did something familiar, but pushed it somewhere new, and we loved it. It's not to spite Nintendo, it was just a lot of fun. It tried something different. We noticed that other companies were actually innovating.
Well, yes. Oh, look, a good game comes out with mechanics of a different game. Yeah, oh, who could have guessed that that might be fun? Who could have guessed? They made just a good game and people liked it. I mean, that's all that there is to it.
Trying new things, improving, and I think that's when Nintendo panicked. They thought nostalgia alone would just keep us loyal forever, but we started choosing innovation over nostalgia, and that terrified them. Now, if you think Nintendo
It's not even innovation, it's just simply better. And that's enough. Just be better than Nintendo, which isn't hard when it comes to Pokemon. Now we will see with the new Metroid Prime and the next Zelda, but you know, we have to wait.
Nintendo's situation is wild. Just wait until you hear about what's been going on with Ubisoft. But before we get to that, I wanted to show you guys my brand new PC, and I thought that I would get a little help from another
Starforge?
NPC to show it off. This is the Voyager 3 Elite from Starforge Systems, and I am incredibly attached to it already. As you have probably already guessed, I love purple, and this case definitely delivers.
Purple is nice.
Lavender glow, plum shadows, neon accents, cute little jellyfish and city signs, the whole cyberpunk aesthetic.
Oh, I like this one. I like that one very much.
I also now have a whole waifu inside my computer, and she is lovely. I mean, just look at her. Those big eyes, that pastel hair, the neon
The big eyes, sure, the eyes.
accents that match the purple glow so perfectly. It is peak cozy cyberpunk. Plus, my setup has never been this nice, and I just keep finding myself zoning out, staring at it like it is the final episode of my comfort anime. But beyond looking like a beautiful lo-fi neon dream, this thing is also super powerful. I'll be honest, you guys know I am not a tech person, but I am so excited to say that this PC has an Intel i9 and an RTX 5090, which means I can finally
Oh no, Intel processor, oh.
play and edit on the same machine without it sounding like it is about to launch into orbit. And who knows, you might even see a sneaky stream or two in the near future. Now, does a pretty PC make me better at games?
No.
Unfortunately not, but it does make losing way more aesthetically pleasing. She is so beautiful. I think I'm gonna have to name her. So drop your ideas in the comments, and thank you so much.
Why does she have the same socks like my dolls? That's dangerous.
To Starforge for this gorgeous computer, and thank you so much to all of you. None of this would be even possible without all of your love and support, so thank you so much. If you would like to check out their PC options, the link is in the description below. Now, to get us back on track, this past week, the Ubisoft CEO came out and said they won the battle against the backlash of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Let me say that again.
But I thought it flopped. So how did they win?
Their stock has now dropped over 90% over the last few years. The game undersold, and their response is, we won. I am sorry. What?
Of course.
This whole situation is still so mind-boggling to me because fans had been begging for a Japanese.
What do you mean haters? You mean everyone that didn't buy the game? Because there are a lot of people that didn't buy the game because it's trash.
Assassin's Creed for years. Like, this was the most requested setting in the entire franchise. This game should have been a slam dunk and is something that they actively had to work to mess it up.
The Japanese culture is so unique and awesome that of course people love it and would love an awesome game in it, of course. I mean, that's not hard. Everyone would love this. But, you know, you have to actually make something good and not this.
Between the execution issues and the self-inflicted historical accuracy controversies, they somehow turned their most requested setting into their biggest fumble. Do you remember when Ubisoft was the studio? Splinter Cell, early Assassin's Creed, Far Cry 3, Rayman. When did Ubisoft game become a...
Far Cry 3? Gameplay awesome. The main characters, the good people, trash. I hated them. I wanted to see them all die. Because they are so unlikable.
Warning to players instead of a promise. After gaslighting us this past year with the X amount of players, strong pre-orders, etc., we have come to find out that this game has sold worse than their last 5 AC games, including Mirage, which, I don't know, I actually thought...
Assassin's Creed Mirage? I've never heard of that. Now I'm really worried.
That one was okay. But what did the CEO say? He said we had to stop focusing on those who hated us. Sir, the haters were just your customers.
Yeah.
And people who just wanted the game to be good. They had been requesting this setting for years. They wanted it to succeed. You made choices that prioritized messaging over actual game.
For example, the black dude that they claimed existed, which turns out he never did. How do I know? I have seen a video, you know, apparently Japanese archivists, you know, the people that work in archives, have looked up this guy and haven't found any traces of him. At all, anywhere in Japan. No documents about him at all. He's completely made up.
And when people called it out, you blame them for noticing. That is not haters. That's just consequences. And after years of $60 to $70 games launching broken with promises to patch it later, after the same tired open world checklist formula since 2012, after games as a service that nobody wanted, the NFT disaster that everyone forgot, Skull and Bones, after...
Wait, did Ubisoft make games with NFTs? I don't remember. Because the NFT stuff was over within 1 year, I think, right? 1 year there was, oh, NFTs, and then it was just over. Just over. No one was even talking about it anymore.
Being told to get comfortable not owning our games, after being called toxic when we asked for better.
Which, by the way, is exactly what the World Economic Forum wants. They want you to be, they're pay slaves. You own nothing. You won't have freedom and you will be happy.
Shadows launched, looking like more of the same, just wrapped in self-inflicted controversy. We just played something else, and the CEO calls this winning. Here is where it gets even wilder. Tencent, yeah, that Tencent, just put over $1 billion into Ubisoft to fund the subsidiary that houses Assassin's Creed and a lot of their big franchises. But at the same time, they are cutting Western studios loose left and right, laying off.
Because the Western studios are all trash. They've only produced trash in the past 10 years. So of course they fire them all. Yeah. Why is anyone surprised that the people that produce only trash that doesn't make money getting fired? Yeah, that's how things work. Duh.
People at Shark Mob completely shutting down the outsiders. One of their VPs literally said there might be less investment in some areas in the West, which is just corporate speak for, yeah, we're backing away. So Ubisoft is getting money from a company that is actively giving up on Western studios. Make it make sense. And just days after their CEO claimed they won, Ubisoft delayed their earnings report and halted share trading because nothing says victory quite like that. But if you do think that their collapse is dramatic, Square Enix's actions this week show exactly what happens when publishers finally start doing the math. This week, Square Enix announced massive layoffs across their Western studios and staff members. And when you look at what they have been doing...
Good. They should do that. The people in the West that work for them are trash. You don't want to make a good product that people want to play. They want to create a messaging board for their political agenda. Because they're all communists. And they want to destroy the West. That's literally their goal. How do I know? They say it.
In the last 2 years, the pattern is pretty obvious. They sold Crystal Dynamics, which is actually going through more layoffs right now, and Eidos Montreal, the studios that made Tomb Raider and Deus Ex, for just $300 million. They shut down Luminous Productions, and now hundreds more layoffs. Meanwhile...
Wait, Luminous Productions still existed? I thought they closed down after they released their Black Girl game.
Their Japanese studios are a bit more mixed. Final Fantasy XVI did pretty well, and I know people either loved or hated this one. I actually really loved it. I think the depth of the lore in the story and the voice acting was extremely well done, but we have definitely seen some mixed feedback on the Final Fantasy VII remake and Stranger of Paradise. So what is going on? I think that Square Enix looked at their numbers and realized that their Western teams were failing on basically every level. First, the creative stuff. Localization teams were, let's just say, sometimes taking liberties, changing dialogue, altering character personalities, and inserting things that weren't in the original Japanese version.
Yes, because they want to destroy the culture and society. That's the goal here. And how do you do it? By manipulating everything. It's very simple.
Japanese developers would make a game, it would go through Western localization, and some things that came out on the other end were different. Sometimes really different, and players would complain about weird dialogue or characters acting strange, and the original developers would be like, well, wait, We didn't write that. Then there's the money. Western AAA teams got absurdly bloated, talking hundreds of people, projects taking 5 to 7 years, burning budgets that could fund entire countries. Do you remember Forspoken? That cost 150 million and sold maybe 3 million copies, and then the studio was disbanded. Or what about
If it even sold 3 million copies? If that.
Marvel's Avengers? It's a $170 million budget and was shut down after 2 years. Compare that to something like Elden Ring, which had 200 people, 4 years, still a huge budget, maybe 150 to 200 million, but it sold 25 million copies. And Square Enix noticed that. They also noticed that they started to lose a lot of money when it came to their Western projects. They noticed that games like Clair Obscur captured hearts and wallets in the West.
Clair Obscur, Clair Obscur. I have heard that name, but I don't remember.
While citing that they took heavy inspiration from old Final Fantasy games. They literally met with the developers after seeing how crazy successful that game was. And behavior is a language, and they seem to be changing their tune. They are out here studying player feedback, what is working, why players are showing up for things, and their response has been to bring everything back to Japan, have full creative control with smaller, focused teams, no more localization surprises, no more 7-year development cycles for games that nobody wanted, just to make good games and actually listen to what players are responding to. And honestly, I do think that this could be a big turning point for Square Enix. It'll be very interesting to see where...
The thing is, if you develop a game for 7 years, it has to make a ton of money. If that game doesn't make $500 million, you've wasted your money. But how does a game like that make so much money? It has to cost a lot and has to sell very well. Now, if the game is woke trash, then it won't. It's very, very simple. If all the characters, all the women in the game are ugly as hell, then you immediately know, men don't want to play that, and women also don't want to play it, because they don't wanna, no one wants to look at ugly women. It's that simple. No one wants to look at ugly women. And especially in a story that is bad and talks down to you all the time and mocks you for who you are, which games from the West do these days. Absolutely. That's why they flop.
Final Fantasy goes from here, and the projects that they do decide to invest time and money on,
I hope
that it will be games that respect our time instead of trying to appeal to the modern audience and be everything to everyone. I have talked before about my love for Eastern developers, and like I said, Eastern devs will continue to swoop in and outperform Western AAA because it is really about who is respecting and building for players. Of course, they also want to make a profit, but they are paying attention to...
Making a profit is not the problem here. It's actually the thing that makes their games so good. Because to make a profit, they make a product that people want to buy. Unlike the Western studios.
What is working and are asking the question, what do players want? Time and time again, we see Western AAA assume it knows better and then add a bunch of stuff that nobody asked for while building for an audience that's by and large not showing up. One approach works, the other gets...
Because it doesn't exist. The audience they're building these games for doesn't exist.
See massive layoffs. And listen, I do feel bad for the hundreds of people who are losing their jobs. I'm sure there are definitely some hardworking and extremely passionate devs out there who unfortunately do get swept up in this. But from a player perspective, companies are finally responding to what we have been saying for years. Make games that are actually fun. Stop designing by committee, stop inserting agendas, stop bloating everything, just make good games. Larian and Sandfall are Western studios that are crushing it because they understand this. It is not about geography as much as it is a studio's priorities. Square Enix is restructuring because players voted with their wallets. We bought the games that worked and we skipped the ones that didn't, and now they are adjusting. And that is how it should work. I don't know how we got into this place where these companies forgot that it is actually players that hold the power here. And
how did we get here? Because the people that want to control everything want to change society. So that's how we get here. And yes, conspiracy theory.
Companies like Square Enix are finally starting to remember. And it is not just Square Enix that is noticing this pattern. Japan as a whole is drawing a line in the sand with this. Recently, Japan's Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI, proposed new policy guidelines, and one principle stood out: no interference in the content of creative works. An entire country's government looked at what has been happening to Japanese games and anime in the West and said, no more. Between localization teams rewriting their games and Western payment processors pressuring content platforms, Japan has decided they need to protect their creators' freedom of expression. This is bigger than just...
Yes, protect your culture from the influence from the outside. Yes, every country should do that.
To one publisher that's deciding to restructure. This is an entire nation saying our creative vision matters and we are not letting it get diluted anymore. That's a massive shift in how Japan approaches global expansion, protecting their creative identity while growing overseas. 3 companies, 3 wake-up calls, same week. So why does this feel different? Why does it actually feel like things are changing this time? I think it's because the consequences are finally real. Like, actually real. Ubisoft stock down 90%. Square Enix panic selling studios, Nintendo getting investigated by the US Patent Office. That is not, oh no, our feelings. That is, oh no, our money level consequences.
Yes.
We have options now.
You have to grab them by the balls, and the balls are all made of money.
If you don't like what Nintendo is doing, you can play Palworld. If Ubisoft stuff is feeling stale, there are literally hundreds of other open world games to choose from.
I haven't bought an Ubisoft game in... The last one I bought was The Division 2. I have no memory when that came out. 5 years ago, maybe? And before that, I think The Division 1. I have a type.
Square Enix not doing it for you anymore? Indie JRPGs and Asian studios are putting out absolute bangers. Plus, and this is a big one, gaming media can't just tell us what to think anymore. When Ubisoft says, we won...
Because they don't exist anymore. I think 80% of all the gaming journalists have lost their jobs at this point. And I hope the rest will follow, because they're trash.
We can immediately just pull up their stock price and player counts and go, did you though? When Nintendo says their lawsuit makes sense, we can watch actual lawyers break down why it's nonsense. The information is just there for everyone. But here's what actually...
And that's what the globalists don't want. They don't like that. They don't want us to have information. And yes, conspiracy theory
gets me excited about all of this, even though it is a little bit doom and gloom, because it is not just watching stuff fall apart. We are watching something new get built. We have seen many indie devs now prove that you can make hundreds of millions by just respecting players and making a complete game that people love. Palworld sold 25 million copies by taking something familiar and then just pushing it somewhere new. Clair Obscur got people hyped by doing what the old Final Fantasy did so well, and Square Enix noticed. They literally met with those devs to figure out why players cared so much. Games that were maybe shelved because companies...
Why did they care? Because the games were bad. That's just it. The old games were better than the new ones, so they complained.
Companies were too scared to compete with Nintendo. They're going to be back in development, and players are showing up with their wallets wide open to support them. The fact that all 3 of these things happened in the same week, I don't think that's a coincidence. The shift is definitely speeding up, and companies can't just hide behind the PR spin anymore because we all just talk to each other directly. Now look, there will definitely be more disasters, more CEOs saying tone-deaf stuff, more companies that just do not get it, but for the first time in forever, there are actual big consequences happening. Billion-dollar losses, studio shutdowns, federal investigations. Some of these companies are panicking because they forgot something really important. They work for us.
They didn't forget that, they ignored it. Or they never... The thing is, the old guard knew. The old guard wanted to make games for... making games, things that people want to play. The new guard, they want to indoctrinate you politically. That's the difference.
They exist because we give them money, and If they can't respect that, then we will just continue to give our time and money to someone who will. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for being here. And what
Good
are your
video.
thoughts on all of this? Have you noticed any other examples of companies finally having to face reality? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye bye. Good video. Really good video.